When it comes to wrestling creativity, there are two names that loom large over the land of bad gimmicks and questionable booking decisions. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and the genetic jackhammer himself, Vince McMahon. Now, both men were visionaries, no question about that. They helped define eras, build empires, and burn through more bizarre character concepts than anyone should be legally allowed to. But today, we're asking the big question: who had the worst ideas? Welcome to Main Event Mythos, the channel where wrestling history meets utter nonsense. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. You won't want to miss the chaos we have coming. Let's start with the American Dream himself, Dusty Rhodes. The man could cut a promo that'd make grown men cry.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
But when it came to booking, sometimes it felt like Dusty took one too many bumps to the head. Take his days in WCW. He loved wild finishes, double turns, surprise betrayals, ref bumps that lasted longer than a Goldberg match. You needed a flowchart just to keep track of who was the bad guy that week. Then there were his creative match ideas. The Tower of Doom, a 3-level cage so confusing even the wrestlers didn't know where to go. The Bunkhouse Stampede, where everyone dressed like they were fighting over the last beer at a rodeo. Sometimes, Dusty's ideas felt like he booked them after a long nap in a tanning bed. Remember the Shockmaster, the man who literally fell through a wall in a glitter-covered stormtrooper helmet? That was Dusty's idea. Then there was the Ding Dongs, 2 guys in orange suits with bells sewn all over them. Every move, ding. Every bump, dong. And Oz, Kevin Nash in a silver cape, straight out of your weird uncle's garage theater project. Dusty loved characters that popped off the screen. But in the process, he gave us some of wrestling's most unintentionally hilarious disasters. To Dusty, wrestling was about emotion, good versus evil, blue-collar heroes versus big-money villains. The problem was, sometimes the emotion was confusion. But to be fair, Dusty booked from the heart. His stories, when they worked, were about the common man fighting against the system. His characters, even the goofy ones, always had that little spark of soul. Then there's Vince. If Dusty was the dreamer, Vince was the maniac with $1 billion budget and 0 breaks. Vince McMahon didn't just push boundaries, he suplexed them off a steel cage. This is the man who thought wrestling needed an evil dentist, a wrestling clown, a zombie mortician, and yes, a man literally named the Gobbledy Gooker. Vince once looked at a talented performer and said, "You're not a person, you're a wrestling garbage man now. Here's your trash can." Vince didn't just book wrestling. He booked whatever his brain coughed up after 3 hours of sleep and a protein shake. Let's start with his match ideas. The Kennel from Hell, a cage match with ferocious guard dogs that mostly barked and pooped. The Punjabi Prison, a bamboo maze where the first one to escape, the audience's confusion wins. And of course, the Inferno Match, because setting the ring on fire is the natural next step after 2 men in tights argue. And let's not forget the music video where Vince danced and sang Stand Back. Yes, that happened. Yes, it's terrifying. Yes, I am going to show you.
I was just a boy. Everybody told me what I...
But Vince's madness wasn't just in characters, it was in booking. He's the guy who turned his own company into a telenovela of power trips, betrayals, and love triangles involving literal corpses. Dusty may have given us weird, but Vince gave us what the hell am I watching? Both men were geniuses in their own right. Dusty's creativity came from passion and storytelling. Vince's came from ego and adrenaline. One booked with heart, the other booked like he was double-dog dared by a hallucination of Hulk Hogan. We're not saying Vince is bad. We're saying if creativity were a wrestling move, Vince would be a piledriver straight to your spine. Spectacular, terrifying, unforgettable. So who had the worst ideas? Honestly, it's a draw. Because in wrestling, bad ideas don't die. They just get rebooked 20 years later on pay-per-view. Thanks for watching Main Event Mythos. Hit like, drop a comment, and tell us, who do you think had the worst wrestling ideas? Dusty's Cowboy Chaos or Vince's Billionaire Madness? Either way, wrestling history owes both of them a thank you, and maybe an apology.